All right, everybody, this is episode 6. You Did What with Dana Varab. I think this is our third or fourth attempt. So we'll save you the pain of everything we went through before. And we're going to start our episode today. Dana, you and I, we were just talking 20 years? 20
Yeah,
years we
20
met?
years.
And you were saying something really cool, and then everything went down. Like, you're talking cool about me. I really need to hear that.
I mean, yeah, I kind of was talking cool. About the first time I met you was at a conference, a recruiting conference, and you were the MC, the master of ceremony. And to be honest, I was quite impressed. And mind you, back in 2006, I was just a young E5, just got promoted to E5 sergeant. And I was, I think, 24, 25. So everything was very wow, I can't even talk right now, influential.
Yes.
And I just came back from my deployment in Iraq in 2003. So had a small break before I went back on active duty. But going back to where I saw how you presented, how you spoke, like everything that you did, I was just like, he's he must have done multiple of these. He's really good at this. And then when I shifted my career, my army career to HR, in the adjutant corps, that's when I learned that we get to do that fun stuff. And let me tell you, I love doing those. I got so good myself to the point where I was being asked to do retirement ceremonies, change of command ceremonies, promotion ceremonies, and things of that nature.
It can be a little intimidating stepping up in front of people, even if you have a script, but you never let them know that you're sweating.
Exactly. And let me tell you, when I did the promotion for Sergeant Major Yusuf Fakir, I don't know if that name sounds
It
familiar.
does.
I did that promotion right in the division area. And let me tell you, I put some oomph behind my voice when I did that one because he's a personal friend of mine and a mentor. And so afterwards, like all the retired E9s and the current E9s came over to me directly after they said their congratulations to him. Like, you did that amazing. Like, I'm like, oh, okay. In my head, I'm thinking this was an honor for me to be able to do this for him. Because he's in the AG Corps as well. So I was just like, this is pretty awesome that he asked me to do this. And of course, I felt that I represented it pretty well. But again, you were influential with that.
So small world. I wrote his. I wrote him a letter of recommendation for his retirement job.
Mm.
He wanted to be a JROTC instructor
Yep.
and to take the job that I left. But I want to go back to something you said. 2003. Where were you in Iraq?
So I was in Al-Taji, Iraq. I wasn't in the guard at the time. I was actually in the Army Reserves, and I joined at 17. I 9/11 happened in 2001. Obviously, I was in Fort Lee, Virginia, at my AIT course for petroleum supply. At the time, it was 77 Fox. Now it's 92 Fox, and then 9/11 happened. They kicked us out of our AIT course. We were literally day 3, just sat in. This E8 master sergeant came in and says, "Get the fuck out of the room." And part of my language, but I'm just trying to. The impact behind all this was pretty insane because we all just graduated basic training, and here we are going to AIT, and we sat outside our barracks for 8 hours. We had no idea what was going on. We had no idea what had happened, and we were in Threatcom Delta, and we were just sitting outside our barracks. And it wasn't until almost 2100 hours, 9 o'clock at night, when our drill sergeant brought us into the day room, and he took off his hat. And we at that time, like, what the hell? Why is he taking off his hat?
Right.
Um, and then that's when he told us. I was in such disbelief. I didn't even see footage because I was still in training back in 2001. I didn't see footage of it for a month and a half, like I think 2 days before I about graduated. And then I spent a year and a half after AIT. I got the call in 2002, December, and said that we are on standby. And next thing you know, January of 2003, they told us to report on January 5th or 6th or something like that. And then 2 weeks later, I was gone. And they said, we'll be gone for 6 months. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Because we were on ground for 3 months. And then they told us, by the way, you just got extended 365 boots on ground. So my deployment was 18 months.
Yeah, it was rough back then. I was in Baghdad in '03,
Okay.
but we were almost neighbors.
Pretty much. I mean, I was doing a lot. I mean, they didn't know what to do with a bunch of fuelers because I was a small little quartermaster unit. And I remember my first sergeant and my commander. You got this E8 with the diamond, and you got this young captain coming into the units. And I overheard them talking to the leadership saying, they don't know why we're here. And in my head, I'm like, did he just say what I think he just said? You don't know why we're there? And they didn't know what to do with us. We were just a small quartermaster Army Reserve unit out of Mesa, Arizona. And my platoon was about 35 to 40 people, soldiers, and there was only like six females. So they decided when we finally got shifted to Iraq, because we were in Kuwait for a couple months and then did the big convoy over, that they decided to take the fuelers because we didn't have a mission. The water platoon did, and our logistics platoon did, and said, "Hey, you guys are going to go spend 2 weeks with the Macedonian Special Forces and learn their tactics and urban warfare fighting."
Cool.
Right. I'm like, okay, I'm down for that. I'm only 19, by the way. I just became a specialist. And next thing you know, my LT, who I'm still friends with today, he's a retired full bird. Um, he basically said that I'm the only female he wants on the security task force, QRF, and that I led a 5-man team, and that's what I did in Iraq. We responded, reacted, um, and I was the only female in my platoon that was doing all those tactics. Because when we went through our mobilization, the pre-mob stuff, nothing you learned. I mean, we were still in freaking BDUs at the time,
Yeah,
and then we got issued DCUs right shortly after leaving, and we didn't do anything of urban warfare tactics. That shit wasn't even like a thing then. And so everything we were learning over in Iraq on how to approach, breach, like clear everything, we were learning from the Macedonian Special Forces.
which is
So that was
crazy.
a pretty,
It's the army
yeah,
is such an eclectic place. I mean, you're 19 years old and now you're in Iraq working with Macedonians. Like,
yeah.
tell that to your average 19-year-old in the street, and they'd be like, "Huh? What? What does that even mean?"
Oh God, I even I have a funny story about that actually. Um, the I'm in because I'm in college right now as a full-time student, and the kid was like, he's 19, and he goes, by the way, we used all these little videos in high school. And I looked at him, I'm like, videos in high school, because this is something I've never seen before. And he goes, yeah, in high school. And one of the guys who's an army buddy as well, and he's like, when she went to high school, it was American Pie. You've seen that movie, right? American Pie. I go, yeah, that's exactly my era, America Pie. He goes, oh, damn. I go, right? Yeah, when I was 19, I was in Iraq. He goes, well, that was a big flex. And I go, well, I mean, it's true.
Yeah, it's not like you're making it up.
I never would have expected, a lot of people asked why you served and all that stuff. And I just like, because I wanted to. And I wasn't ignorant or naive about it. I knew history. We'd learned about it. We've been in every conflict. And anyone who thought anything differently, I felt was just, like I said, ignorant. Like, we're going to war. You're going to go to war. So if anyone says this isn't why I signed up, well, then clearly you shouldn't be here.
Yeah, and for most of your career, we were in Iraq and Afghanistan,
Yep.
and here we
Yep.
are at it again in Iran.
I know, isn't that crazy? And I was just like, because I got accepted in a study abroad program to go to Prague. And, there's a whole application process. I put a lot of effort into it. And next thing you know, um, all this is going down. And I talked to my wife. I'm like, something me, I probably shouldn't do this. And it's costing me $500. I reluctantly submitted my withdrawal from application, and it's $500 that I have to eat now because of it. So it is what it is.
Speaking of
Safety's
which,
first.
that's right. So you got married, what? 2 years ago?
In 2022, we had our full ceremony. Legally, we were married in 2021.
Okay. And your wife's name is?
Brittany Wilson. She is a former Marine.
Hoorah. Does
Kind
she
of.
eat crowns still, or did she give up that habit?
No, she still eats crayons.
Okay. Does she know how to draw with them?
Yeah, it's surprisingly, if you ever do come to Arizona, we actually went to this. It's called Cider Court. It's a Marine veteran, and it's all hard cider, and it's like a big brewery, but it's just cider. And she had special crayon coins made, and she gave one to the owner of that cider court on the Marine Corps birthday, and it was the first actual coin the establishment had received. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
How classy is that? She has her own coins and their crayons. I like that she has a self-deprecating humor. Then
Yeah, she does.
I blew
But she's
a
also very quiet and humble.
I blew a job interview because I thought it'd be funny to bring some crayons for one of the guys who was interviewing me. He was a Marine, and
No,
he laughed. The other guys didn't, and then I didn't get the job.
I bet you the guy that you talked about the crayons wanted to give you the job, but
He did.
the other people were like, nope.
He got outvoted.
Hmm.
That's all right. It was an insurance company, anyways. Bleh. It
Yeah,
would have been doing like investigations.
that doesn't sound fun or like you.
No, not really. So wait, so you joined when you were 17. You
Yep,
deployed, and then but you were in the USAR, and then you went to the Cal Guard. So you moved to California
I did. So,
because you're from Arizona,
um, I am. So
and you're in
the thing
Arizona
is,
now.
yeah, I'm in Arizona now, right? Crazy. I grew up in Arizona. I joined the Army Reserves in Arizona, and then after my deployment, well, when I got deployed, prior to me leaving, I was actually taking care of my grandmother who had the beginning stages of Alzheimer's disease. So I moved her into my house. I rented a house specifically to move her in and take care of her, and unfortunately, she passed during my mobilization. So we hadn't gone over abroad yet, so I did come back on emergency leave and got out of my lease, packed everything up in a storage unit, and had my grandmother's funeral. And then I went back. And then,
And you were like what, 18 years old, 19 years old?
yeah, at that time I was 19. And
That's a lot on a young kid like that. Shows a lot of maturity.
you telling me? I grew up pretty quickly. I played a lot of sports and I took care of my sister. My parents were always working. My mom decided to go back to school full time, and so she was never really available. So growing up quickly, and I just knew that I always wanted to join the military, and so I just didn't know what branch. I literally walked into the Marine Corps office, and you're gonna love this. The guy was just such a dick. I was like, I'm sorry, I want to join, but if you're gonna be like this to me right now, then clearly this is not for me. And then I knew I didn't want to do the Air Force or the Navy. No offense to any of Air Force or Navy. And then the Army, I actually had to convince my recruiter to just follow my lead. And I had both my parents were home, and Corporal Monar was his name. Came over. My parents, I blindsided them. I go, Mom, Dad, this is Corporal Monar. He's here to talk about what I want to do. I want to join the Army, and I do need your signature to do it. And if you don't sign now in 6 months, I'm going to do this regardless. So she made my dad sign. So it was with or without their blessing, it was going to happen.
So you were a recruiter's dream, though.
I was. I absolutely was. And then looking back at my recruiting career, I'm known as Lady Luck. That's what recruiters called is Lady Luck. If you're stressing and you don't have your air quote quota of the month, and that person just walks in and you literally have everything, it's great. You're Lady Luck. And so I did that twice actually. So I'm Lady Luck for another recruiter, and I think you may remember this guy. I'm not sure. His name is Sergeant Kenneth Kinney. Don't know if the name rings a
Yeah, I know who
bell.
Kenny was.
Yeah, so he was actually my recruiter for the Guard. And so when I came back from Iraq, I spent about a year and a half still in Arizona. My parents were getting divorced. They told me 3 months before I got home that they're getting divorced. So I basically came back to the house that I grew up with was being sold. My grandmother had passed, and I was lost. So I begged one of my battle buddies to go in an apartment with me, and I spent about a year and a half struggling through all that. And so I decided to move to California with $675 to my name. I already lined up a job, and I had already lined up a back guest house in Culver City, and I already had a conditional release signed by my unit commander in Arizona. And so then I went with the 311 Coscom, still in the reserves, which is right next to the West Los Angeles National Guard Armory. And I asked the guys, I'm like, hey guys, what is this building next to us? And they're like, oh, it's the National Guard. Well, what the hell's the National Guard? I don't know anything about them. I heard of them. And no one could tell me. So I did my own research, and I found my local recruiter was Sergeant Kinney. And I had been trying to go active, AGR, Active Guard Reserve. And at that time, because I learned about the program, I wanted to be it, but I didn't want to go full blown active duty. So I even told Sergeant Kinney that I would like to be a recruiter. And he goes, really? And I go, yeah. I go, what do I need to do? He calls up his boss, who's an E8, and the guy that I previously mentioned to you on our last phone call. And he goes, hey boss, I got this young E5. She's a prior service, and she's got a signed conditional release, but she wants to be a recruiter. And all I hear on the phone is, really? Like, is there a theme going on here? And
No one ever really wants to be a recruiter.
exactly, right? And so he hands the phone over to me, and he goes, so why do you think you'd be a good recruiter for me? That was his response. And I was like, huh, okay. And at that time, I was a arrogant E5. So you give me arrogance, I'm gonna push back on with arrogance. I go, well, with all due respect, Master Sergeant, I'm a stubborn bitch of a blonde, and I think I can make this happen for you. And he goes, so you're white? And I go, in my head, I'm thinking, where is this going? Where is this next question gonna go? And I do quick rewind. I only lived in California for 7 months. I don't know anything about history of California. I was such in a bubble growing
Especially
up.
LA and West LA, it's very Latino driven.
Yes, yes, but he goes, I have three positions available. One's in Compton, but I don't think I'm going to put you there. And the other one's in Inglewood. And I go, well, I can, I will work hard out. He's like, no, no, you're not going to fit the demographics there either. If anything, if I'm going to give you an interview, you need to join, and once I get credit, then I'll give you an interview. Does not guarantee that I can put you on orders. I'm like, okay. And he goes, the position would be for West Los Angeles. Sure. Okay. At this point, I don't care. I go, where do I sign? Again, I'm Lady Luck for another recruiter. And then fast forward, I joined the guard and only spent like 1 day at a National Guard unit before I got put on ADOS orders for recruiting command. And he made me in the interview, he made me sit. It was like a board. He had his E7 female, and he had his other team leader. They're both team leaders, and basically grilled me as I was in a board. And I was like, okay. And I found out later he did not want to hire me because I was a female and because I was a fueler. And this is a guy who was a combat engineer, never deployed, claimed sapper. I don't know how much of that part is true, but I do know he never deployed.
Meanwhile, you're out
And
there rolling around with Macedonian special ops
right,
bitches.
exactly. And and I found out that he didn't want me. And there's three things actually. One, he said he didn't want me but he had to because I was a female. Two, he said he didn't believe women should be in the military. And
Oh, one of
three,
those guys.
oh yeah, it's great. Three, he said he will never have another E7 female on his team. So for 6 years, he was my boss, uh, and that was fun. And he made my recruiting career a living hell. And my first enlistment, and this is kind of where he made me Bobby, he made me think that everything I was doing, it was my fault. It was my fault. My first enlistment ever what required eye consults and made me go to Koreatown and get specialized exams because MEP said they needed certain exams. So for my first enlistment, he actually cost me around $320. So yeah,
That's
that
crazy.
was
Your first enlistment should be celebratory, and the whole team should be behind you and be like, "Yes, you can do this."
yeah. You know, fun story though with that. My first enlistment is actually my best friend today.
Who's that?
He was Sergeant Drew Littleton. He he's a 6'5" African American, and he was 19 at the time. And I kid you not, and I love telling this story. I was actually at a high school, and I got on my phone at the time, the Blackberries, a call that said 1-800 Go Guard on it. I'm sure you remember 1-800 Go Guard.
Yeah.
So naturally, I picked it up really quickly. And so it goes along the lines of, "Hi, Sergeant Vera. This is Georgia from 1-800 Go Guard. I got a lead on the phone, and he says he's at your armory and the doors are locked." I go, "Hi, Georgia. Thank you so much. Is there any way you could put me on the phone?" "Sure. Thanks, Sergeant Vera. Please hold." "Hi, Drew. I have Sergeant Vera on the phone. She's going to go ahead and help you out. And thank you so much for calling 1-800 Go Guard."
How sweet.
"Thanks, Georgia." I'm like, "Hey, Drew. My name is Sergeant Vera. I've just got to ask you a couple questions. I screen him and everything. It's called Apple MD, age, physical fitness, prior service, law violations, education, married, and dependents, Apple MD. It's sad that I still remember all of that and
Yep, I
everything.
remember Apple MD too.
Okay, so you know. But Drew, he said he was 6'5", and I was like, "Oh, dang, you're tall."
You're not going to be a
So
tanker.
no, no, this guy, he goes, "I want to blow shit up." And I go, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on a second. Let's sit down, let's get to know each other, and let's take the ASVAB first and see what you qualify for." He scored like in the 60s, a high 60s or 70, if I remember correctly. It's like, "Drew, have you ever heard of military intelligence? Because I really think this would be a better path for you." After I got to know him a little bit, because he played football in high school and stuff like that, you'd think he was that jock. Oh, no, no, no. He's a secret nerd. And I learned that about him. And that's why I felt MI was definitely the path for him. Um, and yeah, it was. I went to MEPS, took him, got him everything ready, and then that's when he said he got temporarily disqualified. And so I told my boss this, and he goes, "Meet me in K Town, Koreatown." So I drove from Rodeo and the Brea area, and just drove all the way to K Town with this random out like store with a bunch of other like medical areas, medical shops, I should say. And I walked in, and I thought I was actually in a like a oh, what, a fashion store. And in the way back, there was an eye exam place. I go, "What
That's
am I?
sketchy.
Where?" Right, where am I right now? Because again, I don't really understand LA. I'm still learning LA. And this is my first enlistment after I came back from recruiting school, by the way. That was fun. But he told me, I gave the results to what I exactly the eye exam said that I needed to do. And so I had my applicant at the time with me, and my boss looked at me, he goes, "Well, you know what you need to do, right?" I'm like, "No, what do I need to do?" And he goes, "You need to pay for this. That's why you get SDAP, which is special duty pay." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Again, this is like my first impression of processing an applicant. So you're telling me I'm already going out of pocket. I already bought this guy lunch because we had a bolt over to K Town. And I paid $175 for that exam. And then I bolted back to MEPS just in time for the doctors before they left to review it, to only learn that they needed a different exam. Now that they saw this exam, they said, "Guess what? This is now showing something else, so we need another exam." And that exam cost about $200.
Oh man.
So I had to go the next morning to the same location, get a specialty eye exam, to then bolt him back to MEPS. This was like a 3-day process, but all in all, I spent like 375, yeah, almost $400 on this guy. for my first enlistment.
Yeah, and
And
that's not what SDAP was for. You have an
yeah,
expense account that they were supposed. There was so many things wrong with that whole process.
uh, you're telling me,
That guy.
but that that guy, Drew Littleton, is now my bestie today, and I'm so happy for him because he's married now. He just had his first child about 7 months ago, named Warren, and it's just amazing because my lecture to him was, you know, I'm a National Guard recruiter. I'm not an Army recruiter, a Army Reserve recruiter, nothing like that. The National Guard is the only military that when raise your right hand, your time starts right now. And I don't have a 2 to 3 year routine. This is my duty station for the next 2 years and then I bounce. No, you will see me again. We will cross paths again, and never burn your bridges. I literally lectured that to almost every applicant, and every future soldier that I came across. And throughout my time in the guard, it had happened like so much, so many times. And that's when I hadn't seen a lot of my soldiers that I enlisted, actually for almost a decade. And all of a sudden I turn around and I hear people call my name, and boom, I'm like, oh my god, hello, how are you, you're still in, that's great, kind of
Yeah, the
thing.
guard's a small family.
It really
Did,
is,
did you
even
ever
though
run into
we're
Corey Scarpella?
yes, she's actually back in Arizona. Her and I actually, we went to recruiting school together. Um, so her and I clicked automatically, both being from Arizona and both being at recruiting school together, and we kind of helped each other through the tough times on that part too. The recruiting school, 5 weeks of hell. Let me tell you.
That was in Arkansas, right?
Yeah, I mean, wait, did you go through that? No, you didn't, right?
I went through my own different one because I was an officer.
Okay. Did they put you in a room and record you on your interviews?
No, I didn't have to do that because I wasn't an
No.
OSM. I had to do the recruiting leadership one, which was slightly different.
Oh,
It was
okay,
pretty
yeah.
cheesy. It
Oh
was
no,
easy.
these guys, they were so serious, especially when they were recording your interview. And basically, they were going to fail me, give me a no go of not building rapport when that was literally the first question I asked. How are you doing? Do you want any water? These are the things they tell us to say. And I'm like, what? Let's no. That's literally the first thing I said. And the guy goes, oh, you know what? I'm so sorry. You're right. I've just done so many of these. I go, well, and you were about to fail me? Come on.
Hey,
Like,
at least he apologized. Usually, you don't even get that much.
well, remember what I said earlier. I was very arrogant at that time. So I, I didn't want to be pushed over. I had been through hell and back. And so I was in a whole different mind space at that time.
So, you didn't stay in recruiting the whole time, right?
No, thank God. Um, But with so what's funny about that, I did 6 years with my boss, who I pled, and like I was applying to other positions, but recruiting did not want to let me go.
Should we just
And I
call him
get it.
Joffrey?
Yeah, sure, sure.
You know who I'm talking
Um,
about?
yes, I do. I'm a GOT fan for sure.
Gotcha.
Um, but I called whenever new recruiters came in, it was like, welcome to the mafia. Like, seriously,
Yeah.
you're the mafia. And I was the last recruiter that my boss had actually like formally trained, and he made me train everybody else afterwards. Um, but
But
when
did you
I
take
had
him down to sketchy eye exams in the back of a fashion district?
no, I sure didn't. I let the boss deal with that stuff. Because my boss actually, I wanted in my first year, I wanted to say in a professional way, fuck you. And that was, let me be the number one recruit in the state of California. And so I was my first year in recruiting. And then I was top 10 every year after that for 6 years. I was on the tags team. Um, it was just my way of saying, you were wrong, and I proved you were wrong. And then, since you want me to train everybody, the next year, the Sergeant, first class, now retired, Richard Vinson, was the rookie of the year, and he was one of the newer recruiters that I trained. And it was just kind of like so satisfying that the guidance and leadership that I was able to help, bring to our team, because we ended up being top team 3 years in a row,
Team LA, right?
basically undefeated. Yeah, Team LA, undefeated until our team literally went to, it broke up, and that's when it was my last year in recruiting because I wanted to reclass. I had been called by two different E9s in recruiting command asking if I could take on the 42 Alpha HR position because there's a new structure going on
Yeah, I remember that.
with RB. And I had said, well, to both of them, no, I want to get out of recruiting command. But it looks like the only way that I was able to get out of actual recruiting, being a recruiter, was to take this. And that's what I did. I went to 42 Alpha School. And I kid you not, when I went to 42 Alpha School, I got an email from now retired Lieutenant Colonel Christopher McCarty.
Yeah, Chris McCarty.
Yep, I got an email from him because he was outgoing. He was our commander at the time. Outgoing. He goes, as the new S1, I think it's important that you are aware the following individual is being relieved of his duties pending investigation. And then the S3, the E7 female, is um, relieved of her duties as she's AWOL and pending investigation. And I will be on my way out. I'll be on leave and going into my new assignment. So when I came back from 42 Alpha School, I was literally the only one in the headquarters of there. And I had no idea who was going to replace Colonel McCarty, or at the time Captain. Um, and then all of a sudden, this Captain Jackson, Eric Jackson. He wasn't with us very long, but he came in out of nowhere, found me, told me what was going on, and that he's gonna be the new commander. And I was like, okay, great. I have some confirmation. The next day, he met up with me. I don't know who he talked to, Bobby, but I said I went through hell for 6 years. He came into the headquarters, and he looked like he had been crying, and I'm like, are you okay, sir? And he goes, because he was prior enlisted, he was the E6 before he went to become an officer, and he was S1 as well. And he told me, he goes, on behalf of the enlisted and officers, what has happened to you, I want to apologize, and you should have never been put through that. He ended up becoming more like my protector. Not that I needed it. I
Sure,
was the E6 at the time,
but it's
but
still
clearly
nice to have someone on your side.
it was, I'm not gonna lie, it was weird.
Eric Jackson, black guy.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember him.
yeah, he retired as a major. Yep.
Okay, I need to go back to something though. So you went
Okay.
to Fort Jackson, right? For
No, I
HR?
didn't.
What?
I didn't actually because I was a reclass, so I actually went to Fort Devens, Massachusetts.
Oh, I never even heard of it. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then you missed out because there's the best fast food Italian joint right outside Fort Jackson.
Oh, no. I went to Grand Prairie, Texas, and Fort Devens, Massachusetts for my 42 Alpha courses. And I was even questioning the instructors, and I wasn't even a 42 Alpha, but don't mess around when you talk about AR 2550. That's memorandums and correspondence.
Yeah.
I was reading that every day. And when I questioned the instructors, they gave us a 15-minute break. They had to go talk to the freaking NCOIC of the course, and it blatantly came to where, hey, I understand what we're teaching you, and I understand what's in the book. Whatever's in the book is what we have to go with. Okay, understood. I thought that's what we were doing the whole time. I don't know what this crazy drama that you just started. I was just asking a simple question based on the guidance in the regulation. My saying is, if it ain't in black and white, it ain't right. Because in recruiting command, I lived in the gray. I'm not gonna lie. I lived in the gray area
You had
a
to.
lot.
2.5
Yeah.
a month. You had to.
Yeah. I it recruiting was expensive. I already told you my first enlistment was almost $400. Um it it was just expensive and exhausting. You can kiss your weekends goodbye. I actually I did a E3 which is a electronics expo event, massive event in LA back in 2006, 2007. And I had this lieutenant colonel from the 19th group come up to me during at my table display and goes, "Hey, Sergeant, do you have your dog tags?" I go, "Yes, sir.
Was his name
Do you
Mitch
want to go on a
Utterback?
huh?"
Was his name Mitch Utterback?
I don't even remember the guy's name. I don't. I really don't. But he was like, "Do you want to go on a Blackhawk ride?" I go, yeah, let's go." And next thing you know, I'm in a Blackhawk and I'm watching the Golden Knights jump out of the Blackhawk into Staples Center at the time.
No kidding.
So it was awesome.
Was he
And I was
blonde, blue
like,
eyed?
no, I don't remember. He was tall though. He really was tall. They were out of Georgia.
Oh, okay.
They all had that nice twang. Something about Georgia. Hmm.
You did a really good job on your Georgian accent too with the lady from 100 to Go Guard.
Yeah, I love that story. I actually told that same story at Drew's wedding because I was the best woman, and
That is so
his
cool.
mom,
I've never heard of
his
that.
mom, yeah, his mom did not like me for
What?
the longest time.
I didn't know you could be a best woman. I think that's cool. Did you wear a tie? Did you embarrass him?
I did embarrass him, and I was all dressed up in a suit along with the other guys.
I love it.
So I had a good time with it. And if it wasn't for me, and I don't doubt that he would admit this, I kind of saved their wedding because the wedding planner, bless her heart, was so taken away from everything else that was going on. She the little things that weren't happening or getting done and the time hacks weren't getting met. I was behind her saying, "I'll handle this. I'll take care of
You
this.
went
You
full
handle
NCO
this."
on her.
I did. I really did. Um,
Wait, so who was your best girl at your wedding? Did you have one?
my sister. Yeah, my sister was my maid of honor or matron of honor because she's married. Yeah, and then I had a high school buddy of mine as well, and then my future sister-in-law, which she didn't know this was happening. My wife and I had already talked to her brother Dustin and said, "Hey, you are you putting a ring on it? And if you are, you could do it at our wedding." And so we had everything set up. There was a certain song that had to be played, and we were about to do our throw our
Bouquets?
bouquets. And I told Brittany that, like, this is your brother. I'll throw my bouquet, but you don't throw your bouquet. And so what she did, she acted like she was going to. Instead, she turned around, walked over to Deanna, which was the Dustin's girlfriend at the time, and said, and handed it to her, and then right as soon as she stepped away, Dustin was on his knee with the ring.
And I'm assuming she said yes.
Yes, she did. They're married. They have two kids, a third one on the way.
Look at you, matchmakers.
Right? But it was crazy because, like, the song's on. Where's Dustin? And he was at the bar drinking, doing stuff. And Brittany went on, like, full just torpedo right through to him. "Get your ass over here! It's time. The song is on." It's a redneck woman song. That was his cue. Like, you had one job the whole damn thing, and this is it. And you weren't
He
even
was
paying
busy
attention.
drinking.
I don't know. He's a bourbon guy.
So
Yeah,
after recruiting and then your soiree into HR at the recruiting battalion, didn't you end up at one of the brigades?
I did. I ended up at well, it was actually my last assignment was with the 100 Troop Command. The brigade, we supported about 4,000 soldiers at that level. And to be honest, as an HR, I really wanted to either end my career at a brigade or state level. But when I was still in recruiting, they decided after 2 years, I was actually commuting because at the time in my first marriage, we had moved to San Diego and I was stationed in Los Alamitos. So I was commuting a whole year, 125 miles one way
I know it's
from
rough.
San Diego to Los Alamitos. Yeah, yeah. So I told her, my ex, that I would try to find a way back, and so I did it. I went back to being a recruiter, and so I was a recruiter in San Diego, and I literally talked to now retired First Sergeant Marlon Rice, and I told him, I go, "I'm taking a leap of faith on you," that because he knew my history, he knew everything about me, and he asked to take that leap of faith because he knew I was a good recruiter, he knew I was a good soldier, and he wanted me. So there was no question about it. And so I finally got stationed in San Diego and I did about 2 years there. And I just like, I need to get out of this. And unfortunately, I was going through divorce at that time. And when I gave a PowerPoint slideshow to my boss saying, these are the future positions I would like, one was RSP, Recruit Sustainment Program, the other one was the retention and things like that. And next thing you know, I got orders. Literally 2 months later, I got orders to Roseville, California. I've been a SoCal gal the entire time, and this is back in
Culture shock.
2015. Yeah, it
Roseville's
was.
very different from San Diego.
Yes, and my allergies said the same thing too.
Meanwhile,
So I
by the
ended up
way,
becoming.
Marlon Rice, I always told him he looked like Terrence Howard
Yes, I remember that.
and John Legend.
Right. Oh, you know what? I think more like John Legend. Yeah,
He's
I
kind of
think more
smooth
like
like
that.
him too.
He is. He I do miss him. I am friends on like Facebook with him and it seems like he's happy, so that's good. Um but yeah, I got stationed at Roseville, ended up being the state retention manager, did so many retention missions.
Wasn't
I
that
did that
Partak's
for
job?
yeah, I took over Partak and he recommended me because of my history with retention and because like I got to the point where like I brought 164 soldiers into the military and I brought them in my way because I mentioned when I deployed people this isn't they were complaining this isn't what I signed up for and I was like how can I put my money where my mouth is, Dana? Okay, you know what, let me be a recruiter, which is what really led me to being a recruiter. I changed the army one my way in 164 times. That's confirmed, by the way, 164. There's a lot more there. I did give a lot away. I would have had 10 enlistments in 1 month, but I only got credit for eight. And that's because I gave a lot of away. And
Would you
one
go
of
like
them,
to a home and it's got the whole family?
yeah. No, it was actually because I was an on-campus recruiter for UCLA and USC. The recruiters at the time didn't know how to really approach USC, and they knew how lucrative I was at UCLA. So my boss at the time told me to stop everything I was doing and work on these enlistments. And we got handed 12 enlistments. Um, my boss basically made me the lead on all the paperwork because I did all that before, and I gave a recruiter a name and said, "This is what I need," and that's exactly how that functioned on the last month of the fiscal year for recruiting, and that was our last year actually as Team LA altogether. Um, but one of them we would have had more, but my boss um, I told him that I wasn't going to compromise my integrity because I had learned that one of my cadets had been smoking marijuana. And I was like, no, I've never had anyone pop positive um, in my background. I've never lost anyone for that, and I'm not about to start. And I told my boss, like, no, I'm not going to push it. He goes, well, I'm going to find a recruiter who will. Like, okay. And
You do that.
ironically, I knew what recruiter he was going to call, which was Sergeant Vinson. And I called Vinson up and I was like, look, boss is going to call you. This is the scenario. I would not do it if I were you. And sure enough, 30 minutes later, he's walking past my office, going to the boss's office. And then 15 minutes later, comes over. He's like, I said no. And then I get the call. He goes, just do his paperwork and get him ready for next month. Click. Okay. So I don't say no to him very often, but he was messing with my reputation, and I prided myself on my reputation because I was a good recruiter. And if you were coming in through my through the ways of me as your recruiter, if someone were to come up to you and ask you, "Oh, who's your recruiter?" and they said Sergeant Varab, they would never have anything bad or negative to say about me, and I firmly believe that. And
That's not a
if
distinction many recruiters can say.
very true. I've had literally a recruiter arrested in my office because of the wonderful shenanigans that happened with GRAP and all that stuff.
Oh, money and sex. That's brought down so many recruiters.
Uh-huh. I know. I know. And trust me, every and they were all trying to go after me. I'm like, you have nothing on me.
That G-Rap
I
stuff
didn't
was a mess.
it, it really drove a lot of people to madness. And I had all my assistants reaching out to me like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, you did nothing. You did exactly what the program was meant to be. And I will provide a statement as such, and you provide a statement as such. There's the only reason why they're freaking out is because CID's calling them. Like that's the only reason why they're freaking out. And so um, I literally at that point had not talked to several recruiting assistants for almost 8 years. I like lost contact with them because they moved on. Soldiers do that. And then all of a sudden, I got one of my buddies, and she's calling me up. She goes, "I don't know what to do. I'm in a nursing program with the army, and I'm about to be commissioned, and I don't. I'm just gonna pay them back." I'm like, Casey, what the hell are you doing? You didn't do anything wrong. Why are you paying this back? You worked your ass off for this. You did everything right. Like, why are you paying this? And it was a significant, I think it was like almost $12,000.
Yeah, well, that was also part of the Jaffe thing.
Oh yeah. Ugh, yeah.
That's a whole separate freaking podcast one day to talk about that. I was there in the office when it was brought to me, hey, there's a problem here, and I saw the
Yeah.
paperwork.
Yep. Uh that time in recruiting,
Crazy.
it was
For
crazy.
for our
And
listening audience, over $220 million of
yeah.
fraudulent payments in just various forms. That whole time period too. Did you know Kim Mungia?
Oh yeah. I
Yeah, they delayed her
served with
promotion
her.
for like 6 years.
I went to her captain promotion, and then at the time it was oh my god, I'm totally drawing a blank. It was a lieutenant colonel.
Her and
Oh, yes, Haran, who expedited the promotion for her major.
yeah,
And I like kind of cried a little bit on that one
yeah, she
because
got well, her captain was backdated like some
yep,
ungodly amount, and then like a year later, they were able to promote her to major. A year and a half, something like that.
yep. I literally because I followed her story and also uh Gonzalez at the time Gonzalez, but Postel now Frida.
Frida,
Uh-huh.
yeah,
And
she was one of
I
mine.
follow Yeah, I followed her story as well, and like her and I go back when she was at MEPS, at LA MEPS, the old LA MEPS, and just the craziness that she was getting put through as well. And I like her and I had some crying sessions as well, but I it just to get it out because you don't know what to do and you're scared and it's just like ugh, it's so overwhelming. You don't and the thing is like my boss could literally ruin anyone he would want to because and it wouldn't be like that person did anything wrong. They probably didn't do anything wrong, but he'll find something to just pin on you and make your life a living hell. And literally he's told in front of the entire team that there's only one recruiter on his team that he does not help. And he literally yelled it out and pointed directly to me. He goes, Sergeant Verib's the only one I do not help on this team. All and he's like, all you fuckers need this help. And
There were
I'm like,
so many bullies
yeah,
like that in recruiting. It was amazing. Like Bob Rollins. I can't tell you how many times I got into a pissing match with that guy.
oh yeah, that was yeah. I bet he was a fun one too. He was one of the E9s that called me asking to be the 42 Alpha because he knew that I was like the only person that would be able to handle that guy. And and he was number one on the E9 list, by the way. But when that fourth DUI comes up, that's karma's a
It's
bitch.
crazy.
You know, that's yeah. I feel like I'm gonna have a shot after this session.
I know we're doing some therapy right now.
For real. Ugh, that recruiting time. And I wanted to get out of it because I already brought in enough. I wanted to take care of those ring because I as I started meeting my soldiers and hearing the complaints and the things that they were going through, I was just like, well, why can't you do this? It doesn't make sense. Why aren't you doing this? Um, so again, put my money where my mouth is, and I became HR, and I learned oof, I learned so much. And I also learned how much leadership was not doing their job. So I became the very aggressive S1. Um, Ironically, I'm writing a book called Aggressively Helpful that my former OIC kind of told me, Sergeant Verb, you're very aggressive and you're very helpful. And I'm like, aggressively helpful. Yep,
That is
that's
a
going to be
great
the
book
title.
title. I love it.
Right? It's perfect, and it's my personality. Because anytime I was sitting down conducting my interviews with retention or finding out what personnel action is wrong, you know, everyone likes to point the finger at somebody else. But I was like, okay, so you don't want to reenlist because the army, screwed you over. The army's a big place. So let's whittle this down a little bit. Is it somebody in your unit? Oh yeah, my entire unit, they're just completely ate up and I don't trust them anymore. I'm like, okay, they're ate up, you don't trust them. So that's a lot of people. Would you be more like your platoon sergeant? Or no, it's actually my platoon leader because of him. Oh, so it's not the army and it's not your unit. It's actually your platoon sergeant. Now we can move on because now we can figure out what's going on and go from there.
Yeah, that's getting to the why of the matter. I love that.
People don't do that, and that ironically is the one thing I learned in recruiting at that 5-week course called CCS, Communication Comprehensive Skills. What is the motivation, and find the value behind that motivation? And I feel like that skill set in life is actually very powerful if you just figure it out. What is the why? What is your why? And then what motivates you and what are your values behind that? And if I took 10 minutes to talk to every soldier, I kid you not, it was just eye-opening to them. And a lot of people just don't ask. I've gone through um the suicide awareness courses, uh and and I would probably going a little dark here just for a moment. In my suicide class, they started talking about a lieutenant that had just graduated from UCLA and had hung himself in his dorm room. And I come to find out that was my lieutenant that I didn't want to enlist because he had marijuana in his system.
The same one that you were talking about.
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
It was the same one. And the fact that this random person random
So
soldier
hold on.
who were all
Let's go back to
civilians,
that. You did what? You did
I,
not enlist this guy. This
I
was the
did
one
not.
that they were told to, even though he had done marijuana, and you're like, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I did not enlist him at that time. I waited actually 2 months. And I talked to him again and asked if he was serious about joining the military. And he said, yes, I am. I'm no longer doing this. It was only a one-time situation. And I want to be in the guard. And so I did eventually enlist him. And then I did contract him at UCLA as a cadet, and he did graduate. But I don't know what led to him taking his life.
It's crazy. So
And
he finished all that, got a
yeah,
degree, and then killed himself.
yes. And I was in a circle in an army training course with people in civilian attire because that was part of the criteria. And they started talking about him and they didn't say his name. And I was like, are you serious right now? Is this seriously happening? Like, I got emotional because this was so fresh.
Yeah.
This happened at that time that I was taking that course. It had only been 6 months.
So as soon as they
And
started talking about him, you're like, wait a minute, that's my guy.
that's my guy. Yeah.
Did you say anything in the class?
I did. I actually approached the individuals after the class. I didn't want to take away from what we were doing and stuff like that. Because they said all great things about them, and they said they were guilty because they didn't see the warning signs. And I'm
Oh,
like,
so
how
these
could
weren't
you?
instructors; these were people that were talking about it that knew him.
Yeah,
So
he
you're in
was
a
their
semicircle, like the friendship like circle, and they were just
yep.
talking about it, and they didn't know you were his recruiter.
No, they did not. And let me tell you, as a recruiter, you build a relationship. You are their mother, you are their sister, their aunt. You are literally everything. You are the first image of that military service that you represent. And the connection you build for recruiter to future soldier to soldier, it it's unexplainable. I'm not a parent. I am an aunt, but I will say I took every future soldier of mine as if they were in a way my child. And these all these people were older than me or same age as me, and some of them a little younger than me. But it didn't matter. I approached it the same because, one of the Army values, sounds super cliche, treat others how you wish to be treated. And it's respect.
Yeah, and you know something that they don't, and that's part of the process of indoctrinating them. Hey, I got you. You're coming into my family now. I'm going to take care of you.
Exactly. And ever since that training class, that suicide awareness training class, unfortunately, more and more soldiers that I had either been around because I was also a RSP instructor. I was one of the very few females that was actually an RSP instructor. Um, I was the second platoon sergeant, and we did everything of training these soldiers for strikes for skills, getting them um, trained up on DNC, land navigation, all this stuff, and it got to the point where the phases, because RSP, it does phases, your red phase, white phase, blue phase. Red phase is like, hey, welcome to RSP, we're going to do all this right now, gotta in process you, all that. And next thing you know, all they see is white face. um they're on their face, pounding the ground. We're counting 1, 2, 3, just having fun. That's what we're doing. And so everyone feared that. But I would see, and I don't know what it was, but I would see random soldiers that weren't even mine. And still to this day, I'm in contact with this one particular individual. I walked over to him, and it was just something, Bobby, about him that I had to talk to him. And I walked over him, never met him before, and I go, "Are you okay?" And I pulled him out of line and asked if he was okay. And his typical response was, "Yeah, Sergeant, I'm fine. I'm good. Are you sure? Are you okay?" I mean, I do got some shit going on, but I'm fine. I kid you not. 2 days after RSP training, he found my number through his recruiter and called me and said if I didn't had addressed him, he was actually going to um, go AWOL that evening from RSP and shoot himself.
It's amazing what a simple question can do.
Right? It's it it baffles me. And I had another recruiter, an office buddy of mine, Sergeant Eugene Welch, bless his heart, had had a soldier. He was ready to go to basic training, and he was going through some hard times, and the entire office knew about it, and we were all super busy. And he walked into the office and he wanted to talk to Sergeant Welch. And I did acknowledge him. I said hi, but again, it wasn't my soldier, and I was really embedded. And I truly feel that if I had paused a little bit, the next thing wouldn't have happened, because he did take a shotgun to himself the next day.
Can only do so much.
I know you can only do so much. And that's the part, was just like, he came in to talk because he needed somebody to talk to. Like, how simple is that? It's so simple, and it's so powerful. It literally is life saving.
Yeah, you're familiar with the term 22 a day, right?
I am. I absolutely am. Yep. Ah, yeah,
I
definitely.
We're definitely going to need two shots after this.
I know. I went down a dark place there for a moment.
That's
But
part of life, though.
it is. And not everyone talks about it. And that's where um we all get wrapped up in our own things and stuff. And I felt that was happening a lot in the military. And it's it's okay to take a pause for yourself, and it's okay to take a pause and check on your battle buddies. It sounds silly, cliche, corny, whatever you want. I don't care. If it saves their life, then yes, I will absolutely be corny. I And that's the thing, like, I tried, as when I was in HR, to be that positive energy in the room. And so my catchphrase was, have a great guard day, whore. And anytime somebody would leave the office, I would yell out, have a great guard day, whore. And some people would laugh, but Now they're smiling when they leave.
Oh yeah, because it's totally corny.
It is. And it shifted their mindset.
And sometimes
So
that adjustment means everything.
it absolutely does. And so when one of my battle buddies, who's the E7, she's retiring this year, HR, she in her gift, she gave me this shadow box, this small little shadow box, and on the when you open it up, it says "Have a great guard day." Hula.
Please tell me you have that displayed prominently somewhere.
I do, and
But Brittany
especially
doesn't
when
get it, does she? Because she's never been in a guard.
no, but Dustin, her brother, he always makes fun of me when I say that, and I was just like, you know what though, I don't care. We have some cheesy catchphrases going on, like "Have a great guard day" or "Guard on," kind of thing.
Oh yeah, I used to tell people move out and draw fire.
Yeah, see, you know, but yeah, that that catchphrase, I it kind of became like my motto, and where if I didn't say it, then there's something wrong with me, and therefore people would probably stop and be like, "Are you okay?" Ugh,
See, that's
and
the
so
right
I
thing
just
though. It's reciprocal.
exactly, yeah. If Sergeant Barrett's having a bad day, then it's we need to hash this out and talk it
Yeah,
over.
all hands on deck.
I mean, for the most part, I'm pretty resilient, and I love every challenge that came at me, and um, helping out soldiers was a huge thing. And um, when I actually got assigned my first CAO case, I'm not gonna lie to you, that one that was rough. Uh, Reporting, I literally walked into this mother's house. The entire family was there, and I introduced myself. She was already in tears, and they gave me a chair to sit in their living room. And I was sitting there, and the mother was on the ground crying in my lap. And I could not cry in front of them. Like I was
You had to absorb
mili-
all that stuff.
military bearing was really tested at that time. And honestly, I don't think any other CAO would have done what I did um, for her. And
Just so people know,
that
a CAO is a casualty assistance officer, someone who's assigned to a family who's lost a service member. It's probably one of the hardest jobs in the Army.
it is. And it that case lasted over a year, actually. There was a lot of and then this is ironically in Georgia. This is the case was in Georgia. And just talking to the previous unit, learned a lot about the soldier. He was a 12 Romeo, and he would honestly, he was young. He was 27. He was 27, and just everything that I did with that with the mother, I don't think she would have been able to do 75% of what happened. Um,
There's so much involved with the everything that's after a soldier's death that has to be done. An insane amount of stuff.
uh-huh, it is. And 3 months into it, unfortunately, my father passed. So like I don't know if that was a blessing in disguise. And my father had been battling cancer for 12 years. He was a stubborn Greek man, but he had a very rare cancer, multiple myeloma cancer of the blood. And eats away at your bones, and he literally did dialysis for 12 years, 3 times a week. Um,
Dialysis is no joke either.
yeah. So when he had passed, I had never dealt with a funeral home before, dealt with the process, know anything. Um, but my CAO case, what I took that powerful moment and took it as something where this was a teaching moment for myself. And okay, this is what I have to do.
Yeah, because you don't know what you don't know, and when somebody passes, there's a lot of stuff that goes with that too.
Yeah, now I know a lot, and I have been advocating even when I was still in uniform. I was advocating to people like, do you realize how serious it is to have your documentation updated? There have been horror stories of second ex-wives get the benefits because
Right.
they didn't update their documentation. And I'm just like, I
A
can't believe
girlfriend
this
from
is
12
happening.
years ago that no one even knew who she was still around.
Exactly. But yeah, um, everything that I learned in the first 3 months on that case of just the arrangements and everything, I was able to take that and apply it, unfortunately, to my own father. So that um, he had a beautiful service, and it was actually at the same location that my grandmother passed away. We had the same service, and I made an executive decision actually at that point where I told my wife, I go, I'm going to make this easy for you, honey. I would like my service at this location. I would like to be buried at this location. You already have my DD 214, and I've already sent my DD 214 to the VA and to the National Cemetery where I would like to be buried. All you have to do is just sign whatever paperwork they need. Like,
She took it like a Marine, right? Like, hoorah.
I mean, she she was quiet. She wasn't expecting me to kind of just overwhelm her of this information, right? Unfortunately, my wife has dealt with a lot of death. She has a very big family. Um, her grandmother had 6 girls,
Oh, wow.
and yeah, and let me tell you,
Does she
my
remember all the
wife's
names?
yes, yeah, yeah, she does. My wife is full-blooded Navajo, and let me tell you, her aunts are like Amazons. Her The eldest aunt is 6'5"
Wow.
and
I
six
didn't realize
four.
Navajo were so tall.
I know. My wife is 5'8", and um, so I feel like she got the short end of the stick because her mom is tall. Her mom is 5'11",
So is
and
she an actual member of the nation?
yes.
That's cool.
Yeah,
But
they
she
are,
from Arizona too?
no, she's actually, from Gallup, so that's the closest city. Twin Lakes technically is where she kinda grew up, and that's on the reservation up in New Mexico, and, so she grew up on the reservation, and when she was joining the Marine Corps, there's no physical addresses on the reservation. I learned this, and so she had to, like, use specific terminology for the Marine recruiter to classify as an air quote address because you can't use PO boxes as a recruiter. So the way
Interesting.
they give instructions is like you go down past that rock and then you take a left at the maple tree to go about 1 click up and like what? Where? I'm lost already.
So she knows all about the Wind Talkers, right?
Oh, so yes, she does because her grandfather was the original 29 code talkers.
Cool.
Yeah, so it's in her blood.
Okay, so we were teasing her before we started the show about letting her know that the Army has precedence over the Marine Corps. However, she can pull. I have the really cool card on you because like that's hard to beat. That her grandfather was a Wind Talker or Code Talker.
Yep. That is hard to beat for sure, but she has her own legacy because she was part of the FET, the Female Engagement Team, and she was a part of the original 13 female Marines that were part of the pilot program for women in combat MOSs. So basically, what she did back in 2007 through 2011 paved the way for women in all military forces to be in a combat MOS. She successfully deployed 3 times, and they successfully went through SEER 0311, which is the infantry for Marines, and did all that. So,
I think it's
um,
time for a movie.
right?
I mean, she's a torchbearer. That's really cool.
It is, and she's very humble and quiet about it, and she likes to keep to herself. So the only reason why people know half the stuff about her is because I said something about it. And then sometimes I get the look of death, like, why are you talking about me right now?
So she's
So
the
she's
introvert, you're the extrovert.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, come on. I was a recruiter for almost 13 years.
That's awesome. How did you guys meet?
Um, it's so funny. We were talking about how the Guard is a small world. And so is the gay community. In San Diego, I was stationed in National City, and there was a soldier who was in the Marine Corps, joined the National Guard. It's very common that that happens, especially in San Diego area. And next thing you know, I started talking to I was going through divorce and been separated for a while now, and this other female soldier is like, "Hey, you should come out and hang out with us sometime." And I was like, "Okay, sure." And so I go out there, I hang out with her, and next thing you know, Brittany and her brother Dustin were at the same location. It's called Gossip Grill,
Yep.
and they basically the soldier's named Carla, and she goes, "Hey, I know them." And next thing you know, Brittany and Dustin turn around and they come over and they said hi. And I just didn't say goodbye. I locked on to her. I definitely was drawn to her. And I didn't realize that a month prior to meeting her, she actually saw me at Gossip Grill on the dance floor and basically saying, "Dang, that white girl can dance."
That's the one at the edge of Hillcrest, right?
Yep, it is. Yep. And so I actually invited her to come out with me on St. Patrick's Day. So this month is kind of significant for us. On St. Patrick's Day, I invited her out. I had my Irish get up, my kilt and everything like that. And um at the end of the night she drove me home and I go, "May I have a kiss?" So I actually asked her for a kiss. And her response, and you'll love it, was "fuck it." And
Uh,
she and so we ended up making out the rest of the evening. And then 4 years later, in 2021, um, she actually proposed on St. Patty's Day. So
Very cute. I'm
we have
assuming you said yes.
yep, yeah, yeah, of course I did. And I told her I had been married before, and I want to make sure that this is something you want. I've already given you my intent, and you know, I don't plan on doing this a third time or anything. So you're it. This is it.
Stuck with you?
Yes, absolutely. She's definitely stuck with me, and she knows it.
That is a good story. And wow, what a full range of topics.
Right? And I haven't even dipped into my HR stuff. I just talked about recruiting. I knew a little bit about my HR stuff
I think we're gonna have to
because
come back for another episode and say a year.
yeah, I the things that I had to do on the national emergencies and reaction with that, and that's a whole other deal for sure.
I have to give Brittany a movie too. We'll use a different name though, so it doesn't have to be her name.
No.
But she's pioneer. I love it.
Well, I joke about it, but I go, "She's my Pocahontas and I'm her Jane Smith."
She probably just gives you that Marine look, doesn't she?
She laughs. She has an odd sense of humor, and it
That's
can be dark too.
yeah. Well, I think that's true for all of us that were in the military. So, all right. Well, cool. Thank you very, very much for being on the show. I really appreciate it. Been a
Of
good
course, I'm
conversation.
happy.
Yeah. So you'll be episode number 6.
Yay!
100 episodes from now, people will be like, wow, that was great. That was one of the best ones.
Let's hope.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you. Uh, if you're listening, please do the whole like subscribe and like and all that kind of stuff. And if you have any complaints about Dana, just send them to her, not me.
I'll receive them appropriately and refer to my inbox and eventually circle to them.
All right. Thank you.
Take care, Bobby.
You too. Bye bye.